Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you today. I have another exciting edition of Ask an Aquarius, and I wanted to thank you guys for your thoughts, your comments, your sharing, your likes, and your positive energy. I've received a lot of positive energy from you guys, and I like that a lot. Today, we're going to talk about a very serious topic that I get a lot of backlash for. We're going to talk about forgiveness. Every time I post on my Facebook page about forgiveness, there is always someone who goes off. And I mean off. There is always someone who tells me I'm crazy. I don't understand what they did to them. This one did that. That one did this. My mama didn't love me. My daddy ran away. I always get a long paragraph from somebody about how this person does not deserve forgiveness. They go in. And sometimes I'll respond and try to help them. And a lot of times I don't. Because to be honest with you, forgiveness is the kind of thing, it's kind of like a 12-step program where you have to come and say, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I am an addict." You have to own it. So if a person isn't ready to forgive, me going back and forth with them isn't really going to help them that much. So I just kind of back off because that tells me they're not ready to forgive. And that's okay because we're not always going to be ready at at this exact moment. Some of us are going to take a while. We need to work some things out first, and that's okay. So I wanted to just tell you that forgiveness is really important. It's one of the most important spiritual lessons you can ever receive. If you have any kind of grief, any kind of hurt, any kind of negativity going on or on your heart, and you're holding on to it, forgiveness is the only way to let it go. People think that forgiveness means that they have to let the person back into their life who's hurt them, and you don't. Actually, you never got to talk to them again. There are people who I have forgiven and I pretend like they're dead. In my mind, I just pretend like they're dead. Like in my mind, they're just gone forever. I don't tell myself they're dead. I tell myself they're gone forever is what it is, which is the same exact thing. And I just don't deal with them. I forgave them and I just let them go. You know, let it go. Let them go. And it doesn't mean you have to put up with them. It doesn't mean you have to be in their life anymore. It's not saying that what they did was right or okay or that you were wrong. It's not saying any of those things. Forgiveness is saying that you are tired of holding on to the bitterness that came from the situation, the energy. Because when you have someone that betrayed you or harmed you, hurt you, played with you, abused you, you're holding on to the hurt of what they did. And hurt is energy. So your heart chakra, your heart center is holding that energy. And it's negative for you, not for them. That person doesn't care that you didn't forgive them in most cases. In most cases, they don't even know. Sometimes a person cares. Some people want to be forgiven. I want to be forgiven. Anything that I've done to anybody, I do want to be forgiven. But that's me. Some people don't care. They like, well, oh well. They don't care about it. So it's not hurting them that you didn't forgive them. It's not hurting them that you don't fuck with them no more. It's not hurting them that you talk crap about them. It's not hurting them. It's hurting you. You're the one that's holding on to that poison in your chest. Unforgiveness is like bitter poison, and you're the one that's holding it. And it's physically affecting you in some cases. Some people get ulcers. Some people have anxiety, panic attacks. Some people have problems with their heart, literally heart issues. Some people just can't get together in other relationships. Some people have a really hard time, with those energies. And what the problem is that you're holding on to unforgiveness. Some people have a hard time vibrating and drawing to them a new lover. You know, it's a lot of different things that happen because of it. If somebody did something to you, the best thing to do is to work on forgiving them and releasing it. Now, I'm going to tell you that forgiving and releasing is not always an easy road. It's to me, it's a very necessary one, but it's not always an easy road. You usually need some kind of therapy or some kind of self help books or something. Van Zant, Iyanla Van Zant wrote a great book on forgiveness that I use myself. If you Google forgiveness techniques online, a million come up. So I would say it will behoove you to get some literature, to get a therapist, to get some help with it, and forgive everybody. When I started doing forgiveness work, I forgave everybody. I went back to the first person that I forgave the doctor that smacked me on my behind when I was born. I went all the way back. Forgive that kid on the playground that pushed you down. Forgive, the times that your mom wasn't there for you. One time I was a kid and my mom hit me and made me drop my ice cream. And I guess she was just fed up with whatever I had done. And I remembered that for like 20 years and was still mad about it. I was still mad about that ice cream. So I had to forgive that. You had to forgive every little slight, every insult, every injustice. Forgive every last one. Now, most of the ones that happen in the past will be very easy to forgive. The problem is when you're around a person who's done things to you and they're still doing things to you. Those are going to be harder because every time they do something else, it's going to bring up things that they did before. So you're going to have to deal with those relationships a little bit differently. What I'm talking about today is mostly relationships that are over. They're already over, and you're holding on to hurt from those relationships. Those relationships are the ones I started with first because they're the easiest ones to release. After that, you have to look at the people who, like I said, if they're currently doing things to you that need to be forgiven, you got to look at those relationships because some of those people you may not need to be in relationship with. Some of those people you may need to get rid of. Some of those people may need to limit the amount of time you spend with them. Either way, you still got to forgive them. You still got to release what they did. But the problem is that if they're still in your life, that's going to be even harder, and they're going to constantly give you more things to forgive. And that's not good either. It's not good to just keep forgiving somebody for doing shit over and over and over and over again. That's not forgiveness. That's just being a doormat. Forgiveness is releasing. Forgiveness is letting them go. If you recognize that that's the kind of person that they are, and you recognize that you're always forgiving them and they're always doing the same thing, it's time to let go. So those relationships are going to be a little bit different. I learned about forgiveness from Quan Yin. Quan Yin is a spiritual energy, what they call an ascended master. Her origins are in China. And I learned a lot about Quan Yin just from the internet and from reading books. And then I ended up getting a Quan Yin oracle deck. And I love her energy. And when I first started pulling cards with her, she kept telling me to forgive, to let go of things that were on my heart. And it was not easy. It was not easy. But I knew she was right. I knew she was right. I knew I was holding and harboring hurts and angers and things that just didn't matter anymore. And I was still holding on to things that were affecting me in the present tense. The anger, the hurt, the bitterness affects you in the present and the future tense. And if something from the past, it just I knew I had to let it go. So Kuan Yin, um, her energy, and Buddha. I read a lot of things from Buddha. A lot of things from Buddhism, period, really helped me with forgiveness. And forgiveness led me to having more compassion. Because as I was able to forgive and let go of so much of that hurt that was on my heart, I was able to have more compassion for people. Unforgiveness keeps you from having compassion for yourself and for others because you're always holding people to this standard and what they did to me and what this one did to me. And you have this story going on all the time. So being able to forgive made me be more compassionate towards myself and others. Even people who have done things to me, I think more compassionately about them now than I did before. So it allowed me to have more compassion in general. It was just like it was more room inside of me for compassion after I let go of all that unforgiveness and all that bitterness. Um, I have a lot more compassion for myself and others at this point. So That's my piece on forgiveness. It's absolutely necessary, and you need to find ways to help you do it. People who get venomously angry with me about this are the people who need to forgive the most. Um, all that energy, all that unforgiveness is just wasted energy on people who are gone in a lot of cases. And people who are still around, like I said, you really need to look at those relationships. Because if a person needs to constantly be forgiven, something is going wrong in your relationship because they're not honoring something is happening, and you need to move on. So that's my piece on forgiveness. Forgive often, forgive easily as you can, and just let go. Let them go. Whoever they are, whoever he is, whoever she is, let them go. Forgive them. Jesus Christ said a lot of good things that I like. I use a lot of good Jesus quotes because I listen. Anybody that has wisdom, I'm going to listen. And Jesus Christ said on the cross, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Now, some people don't even believe Jesus existed. I don't care at this point. I'm feeling this quote. you know, I feel a lot of Jesus quotes. And they probably, if he didn't exist, it came from other holy people. They came from somebody with some wisdom. And I'll take them. And that one is one of them. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. You know, a lot of cases people don't. They're so unconscious with their behaviors and they don't know what they do. But my point is that even if they know or they don't know, either way, forgive them and let it go. If Jesus Christ could forgive people for nailing them to a cross, you can forgive someone for an insult, an injustice. Quan Yin also has a similar story. Her father was very cruel to her, very cruel, very abusive. And after going through the things that she went through, she forgave him. She moved on with her life and she forgave him. And not to say that she had a relationship with him, not to say they spent time together, not to say that she sent him Father's Day cards, but she let it go and she forgave it, she released it, and she moved on. And many of you watching this video right now need to do the same thing. So find a method, find a modality, find a book, find a therapist, find something, and work on releasing what's inside of you. Oh, and if you're holding forgiveness against yourself, some of us have not forgiven ourselves. I can't believe I did that. I'll never forgive myself. I hear that so many times. You have to forgive yourself first, before everybody else. Whatever you did, whatever you messed up on, whoever you hurt, whatever you didn't do right, you are human. And you've got to forgive yourself and let that go. You've got to. Because you're torturing yourself in the present moment for whatever you messed up on before. The only thing you can do is make up for it as best you can and move on. If you hurt somebody or did something that you're not proud of, you can apologize and move on. If they won't accept your apology, fine. You can't fix things, fine. You tried and move on. A lot of us are holding shame, blame, and guilt towards ourselves, and it's eating us alive, literally. Ulcers, stress, panic attacks, depressions, all that comes from this kind of stuff. So if you're holding unforgiveness against yourself, start with you. Do you first, and then start to forgive everybody else. Make a list. Put yourself at the top of the list and make a list of all the people that need to be forgiven. And work on forgiving them. Work on letting it go. And sometimes people will say to me, I did forgive him, but you're still mad. I did forgive her, but you still hate her. If you still feel a negative charge against a person, if you still hate that person, if you still can't stand that person, you haven't forgiven them. You're saying it, you're giving pretty good lip service, but you really haven't forgiven them. Because anybody that I've forgiven, I don't hate. Anybody that I've forgiven, I don't even really think about. So if they're coming to your mind, there's an emotional charge still there. Think about it, guys. It'll really help your emotional health. See you later.